You already know how to do the most impossible thing in the universe. You don't think about it. You just do it. Every day. Without effort. Without training. You open your mouth. Sounds come out. And another mind changes. That's insane. No other species on Earth does that the way you do. Not dolphins. Not chimps. Not crows. Just you. But here's what nobody tells you. You didn't invent it. Nobody did. Language wasn't designed. It wasn't discovered. It wasn't a gift from the gods. It was an accident. A slow, messy, beautiful accident. And by the end of this, you'll never hear words the same way again. It starts about 2 million years ago. Way before Homo sapiens. Way before fire. Before tools. Before anything we'd call civilization. Your ancestors are on the African savanna. They're smart, but they're quiet. They communicate, sure. Grunts, gestures, facial expressions. Same stuff gorillas still use today. But something starts changing. Not in their minds first. In their throats. The human larynx drops. It sounds small. It's not. Every other primate has their voice box high up. Right behind the mouth. That position makes breathing easy and fast. But it limits the sounds they can produce. When your larynx dropped lower in the throat, it created a resonance chamber, a longer, curved space between the back of your throat and your lips. And suddenly, you could make sounds no primate had ever made before. You could make vowels, crisp, distinct, separated sounds, like the difference between ah and oh, and other primates can't do that clearly. You can do it without even trying. This wasn't evolution planning ahead. Evolution doesn't plan. This was a side effect. Your ancestors got that drop larynx because of something else entirely. Walking upright changed the skull structure. The skull restructuring changed the throat. The throat change created new sounds. Nobody was trying to invent language. They were just trying to walk on two legs. And yet here you are, making sounds that carry entire worlds inside them. But wait, having new sounds doesn't give you language. Parrots have amazing sounds. They're not having conversations about philosophy. So what made the leap? There's actually a clue hiding in your jaw. Fossil records show that around 1.8 million years ago, the human jaw started shrinking. Smaller teeth. Smaller bite muscles. Weaker jaws. That sounds like a disadvantage. Every other predator on the savanna had a stronger jaw than you. But a lighter jaw meant your skull could change shape. It got rounder, bigger at the back, and that extra space, that became your neocortex, the part of the brain that handles complex planning, social thinking, and eventually language. You traded raw bite force for the ability to talk about what you're going to bite, and that trade changed everything. But you still didn't have words. Not yet. Around 70,000 years ago, something happens. Archaeologists call it the Great Leap Forward. Suddenly, humans start leaving cave paintings. They start making jewelry. They start burying their dead with flowers. The brain hadn't changed much. The larynx had been low for a long time. But something clicked. And the leading theory right now is almost too simple to believe. It was fire. Not fire as a weapon. Not fire for warmth. Fire for sitting around. Think about what happens when you sit around a fire at night. You're not hunting. You're not building. You're not running. You're just there. With other people. For hours. And humans being humans. You start making sounds at each other. Not warnings. Not mating calls. Just sounds. For the pleasure of making them. That nightly gathering became a rehearsal space. Night after night. Generation after generation. Grooming with sound instead of hands. Here's the wild part. Before language, your ancestors actually groomed each other. Physically. Picking parasites out of each other's fur. Like chimps still do. It built trust. It built bonds. It kept groups together. But there's a hard ceiling. You can only groom one other individual at a time. Robin Dunbar, evolutionary psychologist at Oxford, figured out something remarkable. He found that in primates, the size of the neocortex directly predicts the social group size. And for humans, that number is about 150. We call it Dunbar's number today. But here's the problem. Grooming can only maintain bonds in groups of maybe 50. Once your group gets bigger than that, the old system breaks down. And human groups were getting bigger, because bigger groups could defend more territory, hunt more efficiently, survive more threats. You needed a new kind of grooming, something that could reach multiple people at once. Language was the solution, not because anyone planned it that way, but because the groups that could do it survived, and the ones that couldn't didn't. This is the midpoint, and I need you to really stop here. Your ability to talk right now. This thing you do 1,000 times a day without thinking. It exists because your ancestors needed a more efficient way to pick bugs off each other. That's not a metaphor. That's the actual mechanism. Social grooming became vocal grooming. Vocal grooming became language. But here's what's even stranger. The early sounds weren't words. Not even close. They were more like music. Stephen Mithen, an archaeologist at the University of Reading, argues that the first human communication was holistic. He calls it No, literally, that's the acronym. Holistic, manipulative, multimodal, musical, and mimetic. Early humans communicated in whole calls, not words with meanings attached, but melodic sounds that expressed entire emotional states at once. Think of how a baby communicates before it learns words. It doesn't say, "I am distressed." It just cries. A full, complete signal. Your ancestors were doing something like that, but more complex, more musical, more intentional. Picture it. A group of 30 humans sitting around a fire somewhere in Africa. No words, but sounds rising and falling together. Almost like chanting, like the world's first song. They're not just communicating facts. They're synchronizing emotions, feeling the same thing at the same time. Together. That's powerful. More powerful than a word. And then something happened that changed everything. The call started to break apart. One long holistic call got split into smaller pieces. And those pieces got recombined in new ways. That's called duality of patterning. Linguists consider it the single most important feature of human language. It means a small number of meaningless sounds, like P, A-T, can be rearranged into unlimited meaningful units. Pat, tap, apartment. 3 sounds. 3 completely different meanings. No other communication system on Earth does this naturally. It's uniquely human. And it happened not by design, but by accident of repetition. By people sitting around fires, night after night, making sounds, copying each other, drifting apart, reuniting. Over thousands and thousands of years, the music became words. And once words existed, they didn't stop. They multiplied. Every new object needed a name. Every new danger needed a warning. Every new feeling needed a label. And here's what that unlocked. You could talk about things that weren't there. A lion behind the next hill. A better water source 2 days away. A dead ancestor who once saved your tribe. Every other species can only communicate about the present moment. What's here? What's now? You could communicate about the past, the future, the imaginary. You could tell stories. That's not a small thing. That's the entire engine of human civilization. Agriculture, religion, law, science. None of it exists without the ability to say, what if? So let's come back to you. Right now. Sitting wherever you are. Every word you know. Every sentence you've ever spoken is the end product of 2 million years of biological accident, social pressure, and fire-lit nights. Your larynx dropped by accident. Your jaw shrank for a side reason. Your ancestors sat around fires by necessity. They groomed with sound because groups got too big. The sounds broke apart and recombined by sheer repetition. And the result is you, able to take an invisible thought from inside your skull and place it intact inside someone else's. No other technology in human history comes close. The internet moves data. Language moves meaning. And here's the part that should keep you up at night. It's still evolving. Right now, as you read social media, text your friends, speak to voice assistants. Language is changing. New words are being born. Old structures are breaking down. New grammars are emerging in digital spaces that didn't exist 20 years ago. You are living inside the ongoing accident. You didn't inherit a finished product. You inherited a process. And maybe that's the most human thing of all. We are the only species still becoming the thing we accidentally started being. If this broke something in your head, wait until you understand how written language almost destroyed spoken language, because the two have been at war for 5,000 years, and that war is reshaping how you think right now.